Pakistani politics has again come full circle. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, has been imprisoned on corruption charges. He had received a gift from a foreign leader, which he then sold. Technically, this is against the rules that a leader of the country is supposed to abide by. But looking at the corruption charges on the other leaders of the country, you may think that this was a bit of an excessive punishment. When Imran Khan first came to power, he provided a third way from the ongoing rule between the two parties of the Bhutto and the Nawaz Sharif families. In the run up to the election, Imran was assisted by the military who helped him in choosing local leaders that could help him win the election, as well as ensuring that the leader of the Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz Sharif, had to flee the country due to corruption charges. Imran kept a close relationship with the military throughout his government, which was supposed to last 5 years, but ended after 4 years due to a vote of no confidence. A vote of no confidence is when the members of the parliament of a country decide that the leader is no longer fit to lead. In a remarkable turn of events, just the right number of members of parliament from Imran Khan's PTI party swapped over to other parties and voted to have their own leader ousted. A coalition of opposition parties known as the PDM, which included the Pakistan People's Party and the Pakistan Muslim League, became the new leaders of the country. The United States had a role to play in this. The American ambassador had a meeting with the Pakistani ambassador and informed him that the United States was concerned Imran Khan was making ties with Russia. The day that Imran Khan arrived in Russia to make a deal with Vladimir Putin to buy Russian oil, was just a day before Russia invaded Ukraine. Imran's party was then slowly taken apart. Journalists that had spoken in favor of Imran's party were kidnapped by military personnel or had to flee the country. In some instances, they were even murdered abroad. Then Imran was arrested himself on corruption charges. Soon afterwards, he was released, but while he was in prison, his supporters destroyed the residential homes of military personnel. After this, Imran's party was declared anti-military. The leaders of his party were arrested and forced to leave the party. After a while, as Imran had anticipated, he himself was arrested as well and is currently in prison. He could have fled the country like his predecessor Nawaz Sharif, but decided not to out of patriotism. This is not the first time that a leader of this country has been imprisoned. Pakistan has had a long history of military dictatorships mixed with democratic politicians who have always failed to complete their terms. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mia Nawaz Sharif, who is currently in hiding in London while his brother serves as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, has previously mentioned while he himself was Prime Minister that he has very little influence on politics. His ability to make decisions is very limited, implying that there was a deep state that was really controlling the country, with the implication that a politically elected leader is more of a facade when a country is mostly run by institutions such as the courts, the military, bureaucracy, local governments, tribal leaders and warlords, and several other institutions. The point is, you can change a leader, but everyone on the ground still stays the same. So when it comes to change, there is always little that you should actually expect. Pakistan has traditionally been ruled by military dictators, with elections happening now and then where two parties would switch power. This included the Bhutto family, which controls the People's Party, and the Nawaz Sharif family, which controls the Pakistani Muslim League. Both of these parties have had icy relationships with the country's military and have been taken out of power as soon as they have gone against the military. In an ideal democracy, elections are held fairly and the different institutions of the country work together with the government with the central aim of helping the country prosper. They also perform checks and balances against each other to ensure that one institution does not become too powerful and have strict limitations on how much power each one wields. In Pakistan, the institutions serve their own purposes, which is mainly to hold power and influence and money. This is done through corruption, which is facilitated by foreign nations such as America that funnel money into institutions such as the military and corrupt political leaders in order to serve American interests. Simply put, the writing on the wall states that the US decides who comes in power in Pakistan and who goes out. This power dynamic has existed for countries across the world. Countries across Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and South America have suffered from this power dynamic. Their democracies often serve as a facade for more powerful countries such as the United States to control them to extract resources and serve their own interests. They can do this through institutions such as the IMF, which help to ensure that countries remain in debt and are obliged to follow rules that ensure that the West can continue to extract these countries for resources and serve Western interests. They also help to ensure that these countries continue to fail economically, ensuring that they remain dependent on Western aid. The US has a long history of controlling the governments and leaders of other countries. After every 25 years, the CIA declassifies many of its documents as a way of keeping transparency. Some of these documents have highlighted that the USA and the UK intelligence services were part of a coup which involved funding gangs and local terror groups to overthrow the democratic leader of Iran, who had looked to nationalize the country's oil reserves in order to stop Western powers such as the UK and the USA from exploiting its oil reserves. This is often done through big companies such as Shell, which will go to foreign countries and essentially rob them of their natural resources. In order to overcome this, local politicians are paid in bribes to turn a blind eye. When the democratic leader of Iran, Mossadegh, tried to nationalize the oil, the USA and the UK engineered a coup to replace him with the monarch of Iran, the Shah. The Shah then led the country for 26 years while giving away oil to the UK and the United States. Eventually, he lost the support of the USA when he took certain actions that the US was not happy with and was vulnerable to lose his power. This is when the Ayatollah Khomeini sprang an Islamic government in 1979, and since then the country has been blocked off from the rest of the world. It's a rude awakening for many idealists to realize that the world is run by the powerful who control the weak through subtle ways. You may vote for a leader, but no one actually knows what happens behind the corridors of power. The United States has a long history of toppling governments across the world that were either pro-Russian or pro-communist. It almost seems bizarre to me why so many Pakistanis engage with politics when they will all admit that it is the United States or the military of the country that is really running the show. When their own leader comes to power, Pakistanis will claim that the elections were fair and that the military or any other big powers did not have a hand to play in it, while the other side cries foul play as the leader is either shipped off to jail or has to flee the country to avoid doing so. I guess you could see Pakistani politics as more like entertainment. For instance, when it comes to wrestling, every wrestling fan will tell you that they know wrestling is fake, but they still enjoy the entertainment factor. I think it's the same with Pakistani politics. Everyone is well aware that there are bigger powers that really control what's going on, but are still hopeful for better outcomes. Pakistan is a poor country and has failed on every metric of what a successful country is supposed to be. Many people leave the country to look for a better life elsewhere. Of course, no one is happy to have to leave their family and friends behind in order to go to a foreign country and work there. I think it makes a lot of people unhappy to see the state of their country. In that way, the elections and politics provides them with an outlet to vent their frustrations and to hope for a better future. But systems and institutions have a way of holding on and can take decades and centuries to reverse. It is almost a rite of passage for democratic leaders in Pakistan to end up in prison or have to flee the country to avoid doing so. They often come back lost of idealism and incredibly corrupt and incompetent. Let's see what happens as the saga of Imran Khan continues.